Good day, everyone. Welcome to JBS Wiki. Today, I'm excited to kick off our Azure Fabric series with an introduction to Microsoft Fabric. This is our first video in the series, and we will cover what Microsoft Fabric is and why it's a big deal in the data world and how it works end to end. By the end of this video, you will understand the key components of Microsoft Fabric in simple terms, setting the stage for deeper dives later. Microsoft Fabric is essentially an all-in-one analytics platform from Microsoft. It provides a single, integrated environment where data professionals and business users can collaborate on data projects. In other words, instead of using separate services for data integration, data storage, machine learning, and BI, Fabric brings them all together under one roof. It includes services covering everything from data engineering and data integration to data warehousing, real-time analytics, data science, and business intelligence. Whether you are a hardcore data engineer or a non-technical business analyst, Microsoft Fabric has tools to support your work and helps everyone use data to make decisions. Fabric is a unified analytics platform. One of the biggest benefits of Microsoft Fabric is that it simplifies analytics solution by providing a single, easy to use product that integrates many tools and services into one platform. In traditional setups, you might have one system for ETL, another for data warehousing, and yet another for BI reports. And getting them to work together can be complex and expensive. Fabric tackles this by being a unified software as a service platform where all these capabilities are woven into one experience. All your data in Fabric is in a unified storage called One Lake. One Lake is the central data lake for Microsoft Fabric, and it's a core part of how Fabric achieves this unity because all data goes into One Lake in an open format. Every engine and tool in Fabric can access the same data directly without needing separate copies. This means you get scalability, cost effectiveness, and accessibility out of the box. You can scale up your analytics, avoid redundant storage costs, and access your data from anywhere you have an internet connection. One lake is like one storage for all your data. Let's talk more about One Lake since it's very important. One Lake is the centralized data lake for Microsoft Fabric. It's built on Azure Data Lake storage technology under the hood. But what matters is how you use it. One Lake eliminates the need to move or duplicate data across different services. In Fabric, you don't export data from one component just to import it into another. They all reference the same One Lake storage. This unification spans regions and even clouds. One Lake can unify data across different cloud providers and regions into a single logical lake without actually copying data around. One Lake supports various common data platforms like Delta, Parquet, CSV, and JSON. All the analytics engines in Fabric, whether it's a SQL engine, Spark engine, etc., write data in an open format, particularly Delta Parquet for tabular data, so that they can all read each other's output seamlessly. This means, for example, a Spark job can output a table and a Power BI report or a SQL query can immediately use that same table, no conversion needed. Another cool feature of One Lake is shortcuts. Shortcuts are essentially links to the data that lives outside of One Lake. Suppose you already have data stored elsewhere, maybe in an Azure data lake or another cloud storage. Instead of copying the data into One Lake, you can create a shortcut in Fabric. The shortcut will point to the external data as if it were part of One Lake. This way, you can access and work with that external data through Fabric without duplicating it. It keeps the data consistent since it's not a stale copy and saves storage space. In short, OneLake plus shortcuts ensure that all your data is accessible in one place with zero redundant copies. Let's discuss workspaces and organization in Fabric. In Microsoft Fabric, content is organized into workspaces. Workspaces like a logical container or a collaborative area for a project, team, or solution. Inside a workspace, you can have all the related assets, your data connections, data pipelines, lakehouses, warehouses, reports, dashboard, etc. This grouping makes it easier to manage and secure your content. Each workspace has its own set of access permission, so you can control who can view or edit the content within that workspace. For example, you might have a workspace for the finance team and another for the sales team, each with only the appropriate people allowed in. This setup provides a clear separation of resources and keeps things secure. Business users can only access what they are permitted to, and the IT or data engineering teams can maintain stricter control where needed. Workspaces also let you manage computing resources and even integrate with version control. For instance, you can adjust settings for how much power computing capacity to allocate for certain tasks in that workspace to optimize performance and cost. And if you use Git like GitHub or Azure DevOps for version control, my Fabric allows you to link a workspace to a Git repository. This is great for tracking changes to code such as notebooks or pipelines, collaborating on development, and maintaining a history of changes over time. On top of that, Fabric provides a data lineage view within workspaces. This means you can visually see how data flows from one object to another. For example, which data set feeds into which report. This is super helpful for transparency and impact analysis. If something changes in a data source, you can quickly see what reports might be affected. For a security role perspective, there are four fundamental roles you can assign in a workspace: admin, member, contributor, and viewer. An admin has full control, manage access, edit contents, etc. Members and contributors can usually create and edit content with some differences in permission granularity, and viewers can only see content without editing. These roles apply to everything in the workspace. If you need more fine-grained control at the item level, say you want someone to see one data set in the workspace but not the other, Fabric supports that too with the item level permissions. However, by default, workspace roles are meant to keep it simple for broad collaboration within the team. Governance and administration in Fabric are centralized since OneLake holds all data. Governing your data like security, compliances, etc. is easier because it's all in one place. Fabric provides an admin portal, a one-stop interface for administrators to manage the environment. In the admin portal, an admin can do things like manage user groups and their permissions, set up connectivity to data sources or on-premise gateways, and monitor usage and performance across Fabric. There is also a feature called One Lake Catalog or One Lake Hub that is useful for data governance. In the admin context, the One Lake Catalog provides insights into your data assets. It shows informations like sensitivity labels to identify confidential data, metadata for items, and data refresh schedule status. This helps administrators keep an eye on governance, compliance, and identify areas to improve. For example, if data set doesn't have a sensitivity label but should, or if a data flow hasn't refreshed in a long time and might be stale. In other words, Fabric builds in some cataloging and governance tools to make data management transparent and secure. With so many potential data items in Fabric, you might wonder, how do I find the data I need? This is where the One Lake data catalog or One Lake hub becomes really handy for all users, not just the admins. The One Lake hub is essentially a data discovery portal. It lets users search for and explore data assets across the organization within Fabric. If you're a data analyst looking for a customer sales data set, for example, you can go to the One Lake Hub and search for sales and see what comes up. You can narrow your search results by specifying a particular workspace or a domain. If your organization categorizes data by domains like finance, marketing, etc., which helps a lot if your company is large. You can also filter results by item type. Maybe you only want to see tables or only reports. The One Lake catalog only shows you what you have access to. This means data security is respected. You won't even see a data set listed if you're not allowed to access it. This way, business users can confidently search for data and be sure that they are seeing approved and shareable assets. There are also default categories in the catalog that help you quickly find popular or important data. For instance, there might be categories for recently used or certified data sets, which you can click on to browse without typing keywords. All these features of One Lake Hub aim to make data discovery easy and prevent the scenario where multiple people unknowingly create duplicate data sets because they couldn't find an existing one. Instead, everyone can search and use existing trusted data sources in Fabric. Fabric offers collaboration across data roles. Microsoft Fabric's unified approach doesn't just simplify the tech, it also greatly improves collaboration among different data roles, engineers, analysts, data scientists, etc. In traditional analytics projects, different specialists often work in separate tools and pass outputs to each other, which can lead to silos. Fabric breaks down these silos by providing a common platform for all these roles. Let's discuss what that means for various team members. Let's discuss the old way challenges. In a traditional setup, a lot of time is spent just coordinating between the teams. For example, data engineers might prepare and clean data in one system, then hand it off to the data analysts for reporting. The analyst often ends up doing extra data cleaning or tweaking on their end too, because the delivered data wasn't exactly in the form they needed. This back and forth can cause delays and misunderstandings. Similarly, data scientists might work separately on machine learning models in a Jupyter notebook or another environment, and it's non-trivial to integrate those models or outputs back into the business intelligence reports or data pipeline. This can get lost in translation. Each role using separate tools can create bottlenecks and siloed knowledge. Now, the new way with Fabric. Fabric provides one platform where all these roles can work on the same project seamlessly. Everyone uses the different parts of Fabric, but within the same overall environment, on the same data in one lake. Let's see some specifics. Data engineers can use Fabric's data engineering capabilities to ingest, transform, and load data directly into one lake. They have tools like pipelines, which are similar to Azure Data Factory pipelines, to automate data workflows and schedule them. They can store the refined data in a lakehouse, which is a hybrid of a data lake and data warehouse available in Fabric's data engineering using the efficient Delta Parquet format. They can also have notebooks at their disposal for advanced scripting or complex transformation, using language like Python or Spark. All of this happens in Fabric, and the output lives in one lake ready for others to use. Data analysts benefit because they can now connect to the data upstream in one lake rather than waiting for a data dump or performing their own downstream cleanups. For instance, Fabric allows direct lake mode connectivity for Power BI, meaning Power BI can connect straight to the lakehouse data in one lake without requiring a separate import or copy. Analysts can also use data flows in Fabric, a Power Query based tool for ETL, to do any necessary transformations in a low code way, and these data flows stores their output in the one lake as well. The result: analysts spend less time doing redundant data wrangling and more time building the actual reports and dashboards with Power BI, which is integrated into Fabric. They work with fresher data and with context because they can see or even participate in the earlier steps if needed. Data scientists can work in Fabric using the data science experience, which includes Jupyter like notebooks that support Python, R, Spark, etc. They can access the same single source of data, which is one lake, to get their training data. They can develop and test machine learning models right there. What's more, Fabric integrates with Azure Machine Learning Service. So when a data scientist is ready, they can push their models to Azure Machine Learning for full deployment or management. This integration makes it easier to operationalize machine learning models, connecting the data scientist's work with the rest of the data pipeline that doesn't require leaving the Fabric environment at all. Analytics engineer, a role that's between data engineering and analysis, sometimes also called BI engineers, also get a boost here. In Fabric, analytics engineer can help curate the data in one lake, ensuring data quality, defining metrics, and building semantic models in Power BI. For example, they might create a well-organized data model in a Power BI dataset, adding business logic, hierarchies, and calculations, which then becomes easily available for analysts to build consistent reports. By doing this in Fabric, they ensure that the data served to the analysts or business users is trustworthy and ready to use, reducing duplicated efforts in making one-off data sets. Business users or citizen developers also benefit. With Fabric, a less technical user can go into the One Lake data catalog hub and discover a curated data set that the analytics engineer or data engineers have prepared. They can then use a Power BI template app or just Power BI itself to quickly create their own reports and dashboards, all without writing any piece of code. They might also use simple data preparation tools like data flows with a drag and drop interface to do light transformations if needed. Essentially, Fabric empowers these users to self-serve their analytics need more safely because they can rely on the curated data and governed environment. In summary, Microsoft Fabric fosters a much more collaborative workflow. Everyone works from the same data lake in the same ecosystem, which reduces delays, avoids miscommunications, and encourages teams to work more directly. A data scientist can easily share a notebook with a data engineer to productionize. An analyst can give feedback on a data set to the engineer in the workspace, and a business user can directly ask for better data review within the platform. By eliminating a patchwork of systems, Fabric helps different roles collaborate efficiently without duplicating efforts or stepping on each other's toes. Now that we have covered what Fabric is and what it offers, you might be wondering, how do I start using Microsoft Fabric? Since Fabric is a service that probably needs to be enabled in your organization's Microsoft environment, getting started may require a few setup steps. Let's go through the end-to-end steps to get Fabric up and running for you. First, Fabric needs to be enabled for your organization's tenant if it isn't already enabled. Typically, a global admin or a Power BI admin in your company has to turn it on. Microsoft has designated admin roles like Fabric admin, formerly known as the Power BI admin, Power Platform admin, or Microsoft 365 admin, who have the rights to enable new services like Fabric. If you're not in one of those roles, you might have to ask your IT department or administrator to do this part. Enabling Fabric is straightforward. An admin will go into the Power BI admin portal, find the tenant settings, and flip the switch for Microsoft Fabric. They can choose to enable it for the entire organization or just specific security groups. This flexibility means large companies can test Fabric with a subset of users before enabling to everyone. Additionally, admins can allow certain users to create Fabric capacities which are like reserved compute resources for Fabric if needed, but that's more advanced. For most users, you just need the main Fabric settings turned on. What if your organization hasn't purchased Fabric or Power BI at all? In that case, you can still try it out. Microsoft offers a free Fabric trial for individuals. You can sign up with your work email to get a Fabric trial workspace and capacity to play with. This is great for exploring Fabric's feature on your own, especially if you want to evaluate it or learn it from before convincing your company to adopt it. Once Fabric is enabled and you have access, the next step is to create a Fabric enabled workspace. You can do this through the Power BI service interface. Fabric is integrated into it. When creating a new workspace, you would specify that it's enabled for Fabric if that option is necessary. After enabling tenant, many features just show up. The workspace will be your collaborative sandbox to use Fabric capabilities. Now, within your workspace, you can start creating Fabric items and doing work. Remember, everything you create will use OneLake as storage behind the scenes. But as a user, you will just pick what you want to build. For example, if you're a data engineer setting things up, you might create a lakehouse under data engineering and then design a pipeline that ingests data from some source into that lakehouse on a schedule. If you're an analyst, you might create a data set or Power BI report that directly connects to the data lakehouse data using direct lake or a simple query. If you're a scientist, you might open a notebook in the workspace and start analyzing the data or training a model and so on. Microsoft Fabric is designed to support the whole life cycle of data in one place, from connecting to raw data to transforming it to analyzing it and sharing insights, all within a unified environment. Because it's a fully managed SaaS services, you don't have to worry about provisioning servers or clusters for each part. Microsoft takes care of the heavy lifting behind the scenes. This means you can focus on using the data and solving business problems rather than managing the infrastructure. To wrap up, Microsoft Fabric is a unified analytics platform that makes end-to-end data projects easier, faster, and more collaborative. It brings together data engineering integration, warehousing, science, real-time analytics, and BI into a single canvas. By storing data in OneLake and providing a suite of integrated tools, it removes the traditional pain of moving data between services and helps different roles work together effectively. Fabric's approach of central governance with OneLake but decentralized workload capabilities, sometimes called a data mesh approach, means your organization can have both control and flexibility. I hope this introduction gave you a clear, simple understanding of what Microsoft Fabric is and why it's exciting. We have covered all the core concepts, the unified environment, one lake, workspaces, how various roles benefit, and how to get started. In our upcoming videos, we will dive deeper into specific aspects like building a lakehouse, creating pipelines, or generating real-time dashboards using Fabric. Thanks for joining me in this first episode of Azure Fabric series. If you found this helpful, stay tuned for more deep dives on Microsoft Fabric in the next videos. Feel free to drop questions or thoughts in the comments and subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying this video. Thank you for watching and see you next time on JBS Wiki. Jai Hind.